Hoops Tribe, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a few things on the agenda to talk about today. Courtney Vandersloot comments, Audi Crooks transfer, and whatever else y'all put in the chat. I'm going to open up the floor. I'm testing out my live software. Some of you caught the one from yesterday or the other day. Honestly, the days blurred together. I don't even know when the last time I went live, but I know it was recently. So I'm gonna try to go live as much as possible before the season starts so I can get used to this software and I can make sure that I'm doing this thing right. So get on in here, get on in here. We're gonna talk about this Courtney Vandersloot thing. We're gonna talk about this Audi Crooks move. Was it a good move or not, Hoops Tribe? Once you're here, I want you to go ahead and comment in the chat. Give me some emojis, give me some basketball emojis, give me some I can hear you, I can see you. I want to make sure I have some people in the room before I just start yapping, okay? So once you check in, make sure you drop a comment or an emoji in the chat so I can know that you are here. Okay, because we got some things to talk about, and I just want to make sure I got some people in the room. Okay, I want to make sure I got some people in the room, and I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Last time we talked about Natasha Cloud and my thoughts on if she was being blackballed or not. I know that's been a hot topic because she is still a part of this free agency conversation. She honestly isn't even the only one that's a part of the free agency conversation. We still are waiting on Tina Charles to get signed. We still waiting on Bria Hartley. So it's a couple of names that could be on a roster, some tough players. I think with Natasha Cloud, because of how vocal she's been about politics, about genocide, people are like, oh my gosh, have these comments gotten her blackballed? But, find out how I feel about that in my previous live. It's still up on Facebook, it's still up on YouTube. I see some people checking in the chat. What's going on? What up, family? What's up, tribe? Yes, thank you so much for catching the replay. So I see that we got some people in the room, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it. So, as most of you know, Courtney Vandersloot was asked about how does she think Azaray has changed since the last time they played with each other on the Chicago Sky. Now I have the actual interview. So I want to play that interview for those who may not have seen it.
I think she's really come into her own. She was a huge piece for us, but she was kind of that role player that she did anything we needed. Now I think she can be a star. We're gonna expect a bit heavy scoring from her. Like we need her to step up into a big role. A superstar role. I mean, she's getting a paycheck, so she's got to step into that. And I've told her that, so that's what we're expecting. I think that she can do that. She has all the skill set, and we're gonna put her in a position to be great. I think she's really come into her own. She was a huge piece for us, but she was kind of that role player that she did anything we needed. Now I think she can be a star. We're gonna expect a bit heavy scoring from her. Like we need her to step up into a big role. A superstar role. I mean, she's getting a paycheck, so she's got to step into that. And I've told her that, so that's what we're expecting. I think that she can do that. She has all the skill set, and we're gonna put her in a position to be great.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I just to make sure people caught everything that was being said because I know sometimes things go by fast and we don't catch every little thing. What stood out to me, and I think what stood out to a lot of people, was her mentioning Azaray's paycheck. And if we look at Azaray's paycheck, I mean, she is getting a hefty a hefty amount. I believe it's 3 million over the course of 3 years, and it's a 5%. It's going to increase 5% from the base each year after. So her and Skylar got a hefty amount of money, and Courtney Vandersloot is expecting her to produce. When we think about who Azaray has been over the past couple of years with the Los Angeles Sparks, what we've seen her do with Unrivaled, I think that Courtney Vandersloot is absolutely correct. I think that she can be a star in this Chicago Sky on this Chicago Sky franchise. I think the problem comes in is that Chicago just has a bad rep, right? Like, even before Angel Reese, people didn't trust the Chicago Sky. And now, if you've watched the whole Angel Reese debacle go down, you don't trust the Sky even more. So anything that comes from legacy Chicago players or the GM or the coach at this point, we're going to side eye. Are they being shady towards Angel? And then we go back to just last season where Angel Reese made comments and she was very frank with the media and she got a lot of pushback because she said, and this is a direct quote from Angel Reese last season, "We can't rely on Courtney to come back at the age that she's at. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience." She also said, "I'm not settling for the same shit we did this year. We have to get good players, great players, around us." So Angel is saying we can't rely on Courtney Vandersloot. Essentially she's saying that Courtney Vandersloot is old. And at the time, Courtney was out with an ACL injury. When you're older, those injuries are harder to come back from. What Angel was saying wasn't necessarily wrong. These are thoughts that I'm sure the front office was having. I'm sure the coach was having. Obviously, she was having. She is not wrong in her thoughts. Should she have said that to the media? Probably not. But with everything that was going on with Angel Reese in Chicago at the time, the nuance is Angel had been criticized all last season for Chicago's poor record. Even though people want to argue that she wasn't the franchise player, yada, 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 whatever conversations people want to have about Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky, the truth was when they weren't performing well, they were blaming Angel. Jeff, the GM, literally said that he wanted to see more from Angel. So I think at the time that she expressed herself and how she felt about Chicago to the media, she was feeling that pressure. She was feeling that she was losing. She hasn't ever been a loser. Angel Reese only knows how to win. And she was put in a tumultuous situation and she was frustrated. And she aired those frustrations to the public after having the public and the media air their frustrations with her, quite frankly, all through the season. So I think that she wasn't right, but she wasn't wrong. What she said is a true thing. It's a valid thing to think. Do I think that she should have said it to the media? No. Do I think that Chicago still should have stood behind her? Because obviously you know where she's coming from. Obviously you probably had these same thoughts. You did, because you went out and got a whole new set of players this year. You obviously heard what she was saying. But the thing about Angel Reese and the thing about Black women in America, Black women in the world, the last thing they want us to have is audacity. And I think that Angel Reese had the audacity to be a young Black woman, to air her frustrations, to stand on all 10 and say, this is what I want to see from you. And people might be more accepting of Courtney Vandersloot saying these things, of Skylar Diggins saying these things, because they feel like these are people they should respect. They're accoladed people. Courtney Vandersloot, I don't know her accolades off the top of my head. I know that she's a champion. I know she's an all-star. Skylar Diggins, a veteran, an all-star. So they will accept that type of criticism more from those veteran players. But Angel Reese, being a young Black woman with the audacity to stand up for herself, I think that got her in some trouble, and they just didn't like it. Just to be real, they just didn't like hearing it from Angel. I don't think that she was wrong. I don't think that we can compare what Courtney Vandersloot said about Azaray to what Angel Reese said about her teammates at the time, because I think that those are two different things. I think that she was playful in the way that she expressed it, but we know that in a joke there's truth. So she very much so is expecting a lot from Azaray. And I mean, at the in the adverse, I think that we're now expecting a lot from Courtney Vandersloot. Courtney Vandersloot is a veteran. She's 37. So age is a thing, you know, especially in the point guard position. She's not as quick as she was. And now she's coming back on an ACL injury. And who knows what we're going to get. I think that now ACL, when you're coming back off an ACL injury, you have the opportunity to be stronger than you ever been, because most of the time they're replacing that ACL with some pieces of your hamstring, which is a stronger muscle than the ligament that was there before. So Courtney Vandersloot could come back and be stronger than ever, but the truth is she's 37 and there's a lot of quicker point guards in the league. Is she going to be able to keep up? Because the truth is, even before she came back to Chicago, in New York, her stats were trending downward. We look at her production from 2023 to 2024. 2023, she was scoring 10 points a game, almost 11. And then she had 8 assists, and she was playing 39 minutes. Move on to 2024, same team. She went down to playing 31 minutes. No, actually, I'm wrong. I'm looking at the wrong stat. She actually played 30 minutes a game in 2023. So she was playing 30 minutes a game in 2023. She was averaging almost 11 points a game, 10 and a half points, and then she was still assisted. She still had 8 assists a game. Next year, 2024, she played 22 minutes. So her minutes had gone down by about 8 minutes. She was scoring 6 points a game, and then she was only assisting almost 5 assists a game. So those are drastic. That's a drastic decline. When I'm looking at those numbers, that's a big shift from, you know, one year to the next. Before she even got to Chicago, before she was put in a situation where she was having to be the lead person. So if we're just looking at recent history, she wasn't producing like what we expect the name Courtney Vandersloot to produce like. So now, since she's making these big statements about Azaray, she's on the clock. Hoops Tribe, we gotta hold her accountable, because all that you talking a whole lot of big money, Courtney. You talking a whole lot of big money, and you have for the past 2 seasons. So let's see what you do. The ball's in your court, quite literally. So now I'm gonna, I've been yapping enough. I'm gonna look at y'all chat and see what y'all got for me in the chat. Love that you're adding live to your bag. Thank you so much. This proves Sloot built the roster last season. If Sloot built the roster last season, I do not recommend her being a GM in her future. And she got to learn a lot. If she built last year's roster, you know, that says a lot. I honestly don't see anything wrong with what Sloot said. Correct. I don't see anything wrong with what Sloot said either. Angel said that it was the messenger, not the message. Exactly. That is exactly true. Definitely a slight jab about the money, etc. Yeah, I mean, she could be a little jealous, because honestly, I don't know what Courtney Vandersloot's contract looks like. I don't know if she's getting $1 million a year, but we're gonna see. Yes. Okay, cool. So I think we're on the same, everybody that's in the chat right now, I think we're on the same accord about Courtney Vandersloot's comment. I see I got a few more viewers here since we began. I'm just gonna play the video once more. I'm just gonna play the video once more for those who didn't see it. These are Courtney Vandersloot's comments. I'm gonna play a video back twice.
I think she's really come into her own. You know, she was a huge piece for us, but she was kind of that role player that she did anything we needed. Now I think she can be a star. You know, like, we're gonna expect a bit heavy scoring from her. Like, we need her to step up into a big role. You know, a superstar role. I mean, she's getting a paycheck, so she's got to step into that. And I've told her that, so that's what we're expecting. I think that she can do that. She has all the skill set, and we're going to put her in a position to be great. I think she's really come into her own. She was a huge piece for us, but she was kind of that role player that she did anything we needed. Now I think she can be a star. We're going to expect a bit heavy scoring from her. Like, we need her to step up into a big role, a superstar role. I mean, she's getting a paycheck, so she's got to step into that. And I've told her that, so that's what we're expecting. I think that she can do that. She has all the skill set, and we're going to put her in a position to be.
All right, so Vandersloot's statement, Hoops Tribe, we talked about it. If you missed it, you'll be able to play this live back once it ends. Let me know in the chat. Do you think if there was anything wrong with what Courtney Vandersloot said? Everybody calling Courtney Vandersloot the GM or the coach. Pretty much the same thing Jeff said about Angel last year, minus the money part. Azaray received max, not. I've told her that. Everyone is getting a paycheck. Everyone is getting a paycheck. So everyone is getting a paycheck. Everybody got to make it do what it do. At this point, everybody got to earn their pay. All right, so moving on. Audi Crooks. I know that Audi Crooks going to Oklahoma State was a shocker for a lot of people. Did Audi Crooks committing to Oklahoma State surprise you? I, for one, it surprised me because, first of all, I wasn't expecting Audi to stay in the Big 12. So if you didn't know, Iowa State and Oklahoma State are in the Big 12. So she's going to be playing Iowa State, and she might be creating somewhat of a rivalry between these two teams. I'm not going to lie to you. I have not watched a single Oklahoma State game in the last season. So I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I know so much about their team, what they're about. I can tell you that according to Front Office Sports, Audi Crooks was looking to make over $500,000 or around $500,000 in NIL money. That was one of the determining factors on what type of schools she was choosing. So the money was a factor. So I'm assuming that Oklahoma State was able to meet that $500,000 or more criteria. I don't know if it's public knowledge of how much that NIL deal is worth. If you know it, if you have a source, feel free to drop that in the chat. I also know that Oklahoma State also brought in transfer from Florida, Liv McGill. And if you're an SEC homer, like what I've been deemed a SEC homer, and first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and make this clear right now. I have no shame in saying that SEC versus everybody. I'm born and raised in the South. The teams that I watch are in the SEC. I think that we're the toughest. I grew up a Georgia Bulldog. That's my hometown. So I grew up a dog, and I became a Gamecock, and here we are. So I think it's SEC versus everybody. I think that we're the creme de la creme. We're the creme of the crop. So I was hoping that Audi moved to an SEC school, but that's neither here or there. So Liv McGill is a Florida transfer, and now she's going to be joining Audi Crook in Oklahoma State. The interesting part about that is Liv McGill is a speedy guard that would have been successful anywhere. I think it's interesting that she made the move out of the SEC. And it's also interesting that she left Florida when I thought that Florida was on their way, but they were somewhat being dismantled because they got rid of the coach. So I can see wanting to leave because there's going to be that turnover there and things are uncertain. But I thought that she was in a good place with being kind of the franchise player at Florida. I felt like that's what she could have been, but she's at Oklahoma State now. She's in the Big 12. I think that she's going to be able to get her stats up for sure in the Big 12. let's look. I can't even tell you every Big 12 team. So first of all, let's do that. Big 12 teams. I know that there's Iowa State, of course. We have TCU in the Big 12, West Virginia, Baylor, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Colorado, Utah, BYU, Arizona State, Kansas and Kansas State, Cincinnati, UCF, Arizona, and Houston. Houston also picked up some key players. They picked up Justice Carlton from Texas, so that's interesting. So there's two SEC players that I can tell you off the top of my head who've now moved into the Big 12, and it's interesting because I think that this NCAA tournament has also shown us that these other conferences have something to say. I mean, the SEC weren't the only teams, to make a run in the NCAA tournament. So I do respect other schools, but I just have my preferences. Now, as far as what I have read about Oklahoma State is I know that they're a team that likes to play fast. And the biggest criticism for Audi Crooks is her conditioning. There's a lot of criticism on her size. And I know that's a touchy subject because of body bias. And women should have more care in terms of how we speak about women's bodies in the media. So I want to say, first off, that anything that I say about Audi Crooks is for the sake of her as a athlete. And I don't even care about her size or her weight quite specifically. I don't even think that, you know, everybody's not meant to be skinny or what society deems as skinny. I just think that we can obviously see that there are areas that she can improve on when it comes to conditioning because she gets winded pretty quickly, and when she gets winded, she's not as effective with her mid-range shot. She's not as effective on the glass because she's not moving as much. She's not as effective defensively, and what she's able to do defensively is going to determine her future in the WNBA. I am a person, I have been calling for Audi Crooks to transfer since she has been the Audi Crooks that we know in the NCAA Women's Basketball League. You know, I have literally been saying that I think that she should transfer, and specifically I felt like she should transfer to the SEC because I know that if she went to a Power 4 school that's an SEC school, she would have gotten, there would be no doubt in my mind that she would have the athletic department to support her that can get her the conditioning plan that she needs. Because we look at Zion in the NBA, he cut some pounds, but it became muscle. It's like his body profile changed, but it's not like it was drastic. It just went from, you can tell that this person has been in the weight room. And I think that if we saw that difference of her, if we were able to see some muscle definition, we could see the change in her conditioning. I feel like it's just a very small, even though it's going to take a lot of dedication, it wasn't a big jump that she needs to make. It's not like I'm saying she needs to lose like 50 pounds or anything crazy like that. I think shredding like 20 and really packing on more muscle would have made a significant difference in her as an athlete. And I just don't know what she's thinking with this move to Oklahoma State. At this point, I need her to say it. I need her to give us a little insight of what her mindset was in moving from Iowa State to Oklahoma State, because it feels like a lateral move. We look at Oklahoma and they went 12-6 in the conference. They went 24-10 overall. That's a decent record. They were fourth in the Big 12. They ended fourth in the Big 12. They didn't make a big splash in the tournament, which is also another key component to making it to the WNBA, because if we look at the players who were just drafted, the majority of them made appearances in the NCAA tournament. So playoff experience, tournament experience, being able to play defense, being conditioned are key buzzwords when it comes to being a pro athlete. And I just don't know what Audi Crooks' mindset is at this point. So now I'm gonna read your comments. So yeah. Because that's how I feel about Audi Crooks and her move. Word was Liv was asking for $1 million. Ooh, Liv McGill said I need $1 million. I'm not gonna lie, Liv might be worth $1 million. When you look at Liv McGill, you look at her talent and you look at her marketability, I think that she's worth $1 million. I think that she has that Allen Iverson vibe. If I was Reebok, I would be like, yo, Reebok needs to sign Liv McGill and market her as a woman AI, as a female AI, you know, because she gives that vibe, from the tattoos, from the braids to the back, the headband, the long shorts, the handle package. It was nothing more exciting this season than seeing Liv McGill and Jada Rashard go 1v1 in that Florida versus LSU matchup. Like, that was exciting basketball. And I think that Liv McGill is worth $1 million. And when we start talking about these NIL contracts and what these college players are worth, sometimes we got to keep it a buck. These players are worth the buck, okay? And I think that investing $1 million into Liv would absolutely be worth it. And I think that Reebok needs to be hollering at her and make that AI combination like a thing. Did anyone ever find out why the whole team basically left Iowa State? That is what I don't know, why players wanted out of Iowa State. I mean, they have a winning coach. I think that from the outside looking in, and this is just me spitballing, and I'm basing my assessment of Iowa State coach specifically on how he treated Audi Crooks. He might have been too nice. I think that he should have maybe put his foot down more, because the whole her being able to sub herself in and sub herself out, I think that costed them some games. I think that in doing that, he might have put a lot of weight on Audi, or maybe even put a lot of accountability on one player. But I honestly thought he was a decent enough coach with what he actually had. It's not like, I mean, he has strong players, but there are other strong players. You know, I think their weakest link might have been Adi's defense and her not really having help in the post. And then Jada Williams not being that much of a scorer. Like, she had games where she was impacting point production, but it wasn't consistent enough. Like, they had points that were lacking. Iowa State had much to desire as far as their roster makeup, and I felt like he did a decent enough job with what he had. Someone says, I hope this move don't hurt Adi's stock value, because she does need the condition, and that will help improve her play. Absolutely. Let's see, OMG, Audi lack of reading. I saw a headline and saw Oklahoma and was kind of excited to see what Chavez and Audi could do, but then I realized it was Oklahoma State and I was confused. No, you are not the only person that thought that Audi was going to play with Aaliyah Chavez. Honestly, I thought her going to Oklahoma would have been a better situation, because you have a coach that has coached a player that isn't similar to you, because I don't think that Reagan Beers and Audi Crooks have anything similar other than the fact that they're both post players and they both are bigger women. I think that those were their only similarities. But if you watched Reagan Beers throughout the season, and then Oklahoma would have been in the SEC, you can see that Oklahoma is a team that knows how to get their bigs the ball, and then they also have the perimeter scoring that they could have been a successful team. But when you're going into a team with Aaliyah Chavez as a post, you also got to realize that Aaliyah Chavez is a chucker, and some posts don't really want to deal with that. I felt like there were moments where Aaliyah Chavez had some, she was playing for the baddies front row, and she was just chucking that thing. And sometimes it goes in, but that's the type of player that she is. She really reminds me of LaMelo Ball. And anybody that watches the NBA, anybody that watches LaMelo Ball can probably attest to that. But she's kind of a sporadic player, and I can see having some hesitancy as a post player wanting to play with a guard like that, because one of the most difficult things to do as a post is do all that work. Like, you do all that work to get position. You're doing all that work on the glass. You're doing all that work to pin your man, and the guard don't give you the ball. That is some frustrating stuff. So I can see some hesitancy in wanting to play with Aaliyah Chavez. Okay. Coach Bebe thinks that OU's pace is way too fast for Crooks. Listen, fast is it might be what she needs. And I saw a lot of people say, like OSU's pace is too fast. And really a couple of the other teams that I felt like she could have went to, a lot of people were like, oh, their pace is too fast. Oh, the SEC is too fast for Audi. And I think the only way for her to get better at this point, because she waited so freaking long, like she literally waited to the last minute to transfer. She should have been doing this. Like, it is very hard. Conditioning takes so much time. This is what people don't understand. It takes so much time to get conditioned. It takes very little time to become unconditioned. So it can take 2 seasons to really, like, Malaysia Fawali, for example. I feel like, honestly, it took Lay 3 seasons to become NCAA college level condition. Because one of the things that I felt like with Malaysia Fawali in South Carolina is that she wasn't conditioned enough to play the type of defense, to play the type of offense that South Carolina wanted to play. And in turn, that was the reason why her minutes were limited. I feel like that was one of the main reasons her minutes were limited. I feel like Malaysia Fawali at LSU, you see the difference in her conditioning. And I feel like because it takes so much time, because conditioning isn't just running. You also have to build those muscles so those muscles can last. So it takes a while. So if Audi Crooks has spent the last 3 years in a system where she may not have been, because all of this is alleged, I'm not at their practice. I don't know what Iowa State is actually doing. But if she took 3 seasons to be on a team where she can just sub herself in and out of the game, that lets me know that she's running the team to an extent. So I don't know how much they're pushing her to get conditioned in the way that she actually needs to be conditioned to be successful at not only the college level, but the pro level. So now she's going into her final season, and she's expecting, or I believe she's expecting, because I believe that she wants to be a pro player, she's expecting to make all of this progress in 1 season. Honey, that's going to be a very difficult thing to do. You're going to have no days off in this summer season right now. Like, she's going to have to do so much if her goal is to be pro ready right now, because conditioning is not an easy job. Exactly. She definitely should have transferred after her. Absolutely. And what's so funny is that I made a video that went viral. And I feel like I'm pretty sure that she saw the video that went viral when I was talking about her transferring and how I felt like she would get the support that she needed from an SEC team. And then she doubled down on me, whether it was a response to me or whether it was a response to all of the other people who also felt like she should transfer. She doubled down in saying, the grass is greener where you water it. It's so funny that people use that phrase, like the grass is greener where you water it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you watering dirt that will never prosper. You're watering dirt that's going to never grow you crops, that's going to never grow you plants, that's going to never grow your grass, because some things are just dead, okay? And when you see that you're not getting I mean, she had incremental growth. You know, her shot percentage got a little bit better, but if you're not seeing the growth that you need to be seeing, like, because the math got a math. If you're looking at the math, you're looking at your statistics, which I'm sure every player does at the end of the season. You're looking at your statistics, and you know that you got to get from point A to point D by the time you finish your college career, and you see that you're not trending in that direction, then you got to make changes. And I just feel like it wasn't made quick enough. All right, let me check the comment section. Baby, you can water weeds and they will grow double. Hold on, I got to show y'all this because that's for real. You can water weeds and they will grow double. And, you know, who needs weeds? You feel me? Who needs weeds? Yeah, I like that one. Really gonna find out how mentally tough she is now. Exactly. This senior season, all eyes are on Audi Crooks. I think that she absolutely put a target on her back. We don't know how big of a target, you know, how much weight she's going to feel from that target. But I know that all eyes are going to be on Audi Crooks in her senior season to see what she actually does, to see if this move was conducive to growth. Now, I know that Audi Crooks and Courtney Vandersloot were the hot topics for today. At this point, I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the chat. Is there anything else you want me to talk about? I do have some time before I have to head into a meeting. And I want to make sure that I answer all of your questions. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm trying to do more lives, and these are my test runs. I'm trying to make sure all of my software is working right before we get into the WNBA season, so I can make sure I'm bringing you the highest of quality lives and the highest of quality information. So I'm just going to give y'all a moment to tap in if you have any questions. Again, I appreciate everybody. I'm going to go back through these comments to see if there's anything that I missed. WNBA team predictions. Oh, you just went for the jugular, huh? Like, people be wanting me to make predictions like I'm the first to say, like, I don't know. Like, because especially right now, because the WNBA is so annoying when it comes to preseason, because these rosters are gonna look completely different. The only roster that is pretty much set in stone, I feel like, and they still have some players that they're gonna shake, is gonna be the Las Vegas Aces. And y'all already know, well, maybe you don't know, this is an Aces fan page. I talk about all the teams for sure, but the Aces are definitely my number one. I believe in them. I'm really a Coach Becky Hammon stan. I love her basketball mind. And I know that everybody has like their favorite players and they watch teams for the players, but I'm a analytical person, and I like to get into the nuts and bolts of things. So I'm just gonna say a couple of my favorite coaches right now. Coach Becky Hammon is number one. Natalie Nakase is number two, and then Carl Smesko in Atlanta. So my teams to really watch and really see the method to their madness this season are gonna be the Aces, the Valkyries, and Atlanta. I think that Atlanta is working with so much firepower right now. But I'm gonna be real, and I'm gonna just tell y'all because y'all happen to join this live, so I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This is a secret that I don't think people know. Ryan Howard gets on my nerves. Like, Ryan Howard gets on my nerves because I think that she is so great. She's so great, but is that there's games where I just feel like she's not giving us everything. Like, I feel like there's games where she settles. Like, she's settling for 3-point shots when she can get to the rim as at will. So this season, I want to see more. I want to see better shot selection from Ryan Howard. And I want to see, I know she already has this nonchalantness to her personality, to her game, but I don't know, and I don't want to say it's a lack of effort because obviously she's giving effort, but I just want to see more from Ron Howard. That's what I'm going to say. Because right now, I feel like she's not giving us everything all the time. Alicia Gray, I want to see more composure from Alicia Gray this season because I think that she can get so frustrated when she's not getting the fouls that she wants. And we can see in real time her somewhat throwing tantrums, like upset when she's not getting the calls, and that leads to wild takes to the basket and out of controlledness. And I think that if we get more composure from Alicia Gray and we get more in general from Ryan Howard, and then we have Angel Reese doing what she does, rim running, now she's stepping outside beyond the three. Then we have the development of Medina Akkad. We have Jordan Canada running at point, and Jordan Canada is another one that I really like. Jordan Canada, I want to see her continue to grow because I think every season we're seeing even more from Jordan Canada. So Atlanta is going to be an exciting team. They're probably my number 2 favorite team just because I'm in the South. I'm in Georgia. Atlanta is home, so that's going to be my number 2 to watch. But Aces are my number 1, and I'm going to say the Valkyries are my number 3 just because I like Natalie Nakase and I like what she's doing, and she's changing. She's kind of changing the game as we know it, as far as not really having a consistent go-to player. Like when it's the Aces playing, we know 1 through 4 options. We know it's gonna be Asia Wilson. We know it's Jackie Young. We know it's Chelsea Gray. But with the Valkyries, we don't always know who's going to be there. They play somewhat of a good college team style basketball at the pro level, or somewhat European style basketball, international style basketball in the WNBA, and I'm really excited about bringing that type of game to the WNBA. Let me check the comments. Coach, I'm glad you said it. Nah, the Dream are not my team. They are just my home base. Like, Atlanta is home. If y'all don't know, like, I'm in the Atlanta area. So when it comes to like easily accessible, it's Atlanta. But they're a team that I've been frustrated with for a while. But we're getting better. We're getting better. And the Aces are my number 1. Ryan gets on a lot of odd people nerves. You're not alone. She broke down when the home team went for Asia. See, I agree Ryan can win you a game, but can easily shoot you out of a game because it seems like she settles at times. Hopefully she is more constant this year. Yes, I'm going to throw that on the screen because amen to that. See, yes, ATL and Vegas are definitely faves. I honestly say the Fever are my number 3. Hate to say it, but true. Wow, I'm glad you brought up the Indiana Fever. So if you've been following me for a while, then you know that the Indiana Fever is a team that I love to hate. And I don't think there's anything wrong with hating teams. And I'm sure that everybody on this live like somewhat agrees with me because we're real, we're the Hoops Tribe. We are real hoop heads. We know how fans work. And we know that everybody doesn't have to root for every team. And I think that that's a trap that they try to put women's basketball in. Like, oh, we got to coddle these women and we got to cheer for everybody. No, you don't have to cheer for everybody, especially not here. I give you freedom to boo. And Indiana Fever are a team that I love to boo. But now I have to reconsider that because one of my favorite Gamecocks is now an Indiana Fever. And, I respect the Fever for giving the Aces the run that they did in the semifinals last season. I was nervous. I didn't know. They had Asia in hell. Like, Aaliyah Boston had Asia in hell. I think that the Indiana Fever were very smart, very business savvy with that move to make it look like Aaliyah Boston was earning more than Asia Wilson because we know We know that it's a rivalry between Aaliyah Boston and Asia Wilson, going all the way back to South Carolina. Asia Wilson is that person that if you're a jealous spirited person, you're probably jealous, envious of Asia Wilson. She has a freaking statue. And so you have a player with this type of hype when you're also great, you want to be better than her. And I think that Indiana is doing a great job at cultivating that envy, cultivating that rivalry between Aaliyah Boston and Asia, whether Aaliyah actually feeds into it or not. In her subconscious, there's no way she hasn't thought, oh, my look at my check. My check is rivaling y'all GOAT. Y'all calling her the GOAT, but look who making the most money. You can't tell me that that's not something that she's saying in the back of her mind when she's putting up reps. That's just how competitors work. So the Indiana Fever have just put a battery in her back. And a lot of fans want to talk about, the Indiana Fever. They hype Caitlin Clark up, yada, yada, yada. The Indiana Fever knows who the stars are. They have shown you, they have put their money where their mouth is, and they are showing you who they care about. I don't care about these fan narratives. The Indiana Fever knows that this is Aaliyah Boston's team. The Indiana Fever know that this is Kelsey Mitchell's team. Stephanie White just said it. Kelsey Mitchell is the only player on this roster that doesn't need help in getting a bucket. We can trust Kelsey Mitchell to score at will. Kelsey Mitchell just gave her legs to the Indiana Fever last season. Shorty played till her legs gave out. This is Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston's team. And I respect the Indiana Fever for making that known, for putting their money where their mouth is. And I think changing the narrative as much as they can in small pieces. And I think that they've done a good job at welcoming Raven Johnson into the franchise. So I don't know if I'm gonna boo them this year. I'm definitely gonna troll their fans because they're some of the most sensitive fans in the league. But you know what? You know whose fans are actually annoying? That they have been more annoying than Indiana Fever fans thus far? The Dallas Wings. And I think that we're gonna start to see that the more we have these stars come into the league. I'm gonna just say straight up, AZ Fudd and Paige Becker fans, they're just as worse as Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese fans. Like the bad side of every fandom, every fan base has the bad side. I'm gonna tell you, AZ Fudd and Paige Beckers has some annoying fans. I think the Dallas Wings might be the most annoying team this season unless they get control of their narrative. But I'm gonna read some of the comments right now. Look, Asia Foundation rented a bus from South Carolina to Atlanta for May 17th game, so those players better get prepared and be able to bear the chance for Aces in Asia. Oh, yeah. The thing about, I don't know if you've been to an Atlanta game when Atlanta played the Aces, but the Aces definitely take over. The Aces fan base definitely take over Atlanta's, and they're playing in a smaller gym. It's like 3,000 or so people, and the Aces and really a lot of teams with big fan bases kind of take over sometimes. And Ryan actually called out the fans at one point last season. So we're going to see if there's going to be a difference in Dream fans on site because they got called out last season. Live in Indiana Fever is my team. Facts, that's Kelsey's team for sure. Fever team take care of their players at an $80 million new practice facility. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm going to throw that on the screen because I did not know that the Indiana Fever added a new practice facility. That's what's up. New York Liberty #4, excited to see Satu finally go off. She's another one like Ryan. Aces game have been moved to State Farm. Oh, the Aces game has been moved to State Farm. I'm going to throw that on the screen too because I did not know that the Aces game for Atlanta has been moved to State Farm. State Farm is where the Hawks usually play, so that's a much bigger arena, and that's great because that's already showing you that the game has grown so much because last season they were playing at the gym out at College Park. So that's what's up. The CC fans and CC YouTuber influencers hating on Raven. Hey, I don't even listen. My algorithm, I built this algorithm brick by brick. I have not seen any Raven Johnson hate. I don't want to see any Raven Johnson hate because, I mean, how can you hate on Raven Johnson? There's literally nothing you can say negatively about Raven Johnson. Everything that they tried to say, she's overcome, which is why she's one of my favorite Gamecocks. Is she's had to face so much adversity. Like, we've literally watched her face so much adversity in 5 seasons. She's overcome it all, and she came out of it as a top 10 draft pick, and nobody thought that was going to happen. Nobody thought that was going to happen. Everybody has something to say. She's a top 10 draft pick. What you gonna say now? She's on a guaranteed rookie contract. She can't get waived. What you gonna say now? What they gonna say now? They can't say much. What do you think about Caitlyn saying she thinks they're the team to beat this season? I think that Caitlyn. Here's the thing about Caitlin Clark. I think that she has to do a lot of talking right now because she underperformed last season. Like, injury or not, she underperformed. I'm not giving her any excuses. When she was healthy, she did not live up to anticipation. So this season has to be a big season for Caitlin Clark for her to kind of keep that hype. Because she came in, there was so much hype around Caitlin Clark. She's going to do so much. She's going to do this. She's going to get Indiana to a championship. Yada, 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 yada. She has to show and prove now. I think that some of that hype has died down. I don't get the same amount of Caitlin Clark news in my feed, and I'm subscribed to a lot of people. I mean, you still get some of that clickbaity stuff, but I definitely think the hype has died down. And now she has to hype herself back up. She's got to do some talking because, yeah, she got to live up to expectations now. Now she got to play ball. The league is getting better. Now she has Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd, like 2 new number 1 draft picks to outplay. Yeah, she got to do some talking. I watched one Rachel video and it jacked up my whole algorithm. You're helping to cleanse my feed. Yeah, you got to get that negativity out your feed, man. Dream saying that since Angel is there now, they will play more games at the State Farm Arena. They have to. And I'm going to throw that up on the screen because people try to take away Angel Reese's impact on the game. You can't take away her impact when it's producing money. Like, she had a sold out jersey within minutes. She moved from Chicago to Atlanta. She sold out that dream jersey like in minutes. So we can't keep denying Angel Reese's impact on the game. You can say whatever you want to about how you think she is as a player. I don't want to hear it because she's impacting the game. All right. New York Liberty. Oh, yeah. So New York Liberty and Satu Sabally. I'm excited to see what Satu Sabally is able to do with Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones. That's like a big 4. I can't say, it takes chemistry. That's the whole thing. And that's what I think a lot of teams, there's a lot of shakeups. There have been some big additions like that Satu Sabally addition, but chemistry is everything. And we saw last season, it took so much time for the Aces to get Jewel Lloyd acclimated into that system and to build the chemistry that they needed to build. And they went on to win a championship. I think the Aces have the leg up this season because they're the team that didn't shake up their roster. So they're coming in with chemistry. They're coming in with Kennedy Carter. I think that the Aces still have the edge and they are the team to beat. No matter what anyone says, Las Vegas is the team to beat. I think that even though the Indiana Fever ended on a strong note, their roster has been shaken up. They're adding Caitlin Clark back. And we saw that they won more games without her. They made a deep run without her. They don't have Ari McDonald right now. They don't have Shea Petty. They don't have some of the pieces that they had in that attempt to make it to the finals. So, yeah, everybody's shaking up a little bit. New York underperformed last season. Maybe Satu is that piece that they need. The Lynx are all shaking up. Nafisa Collier is hurt. I'm excited, though, to see what Olivia Miles is able to do in her rookie season. So when I think about, like, who's going to get that Rookie of the Year, I don't know because I think last season surprised me with Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriafen making a strong case for Rookie of the Year early on in the season, and then Paige made that separation. I don't know if AZ Fudd makes the separation that I don't know if AZ Fudd makes the separation that Paige Becker's made. You know, like, and I'll be honest, I'm limited to what I've been able to see in UConn because I just don't watch UConn like that. I mean, I only watch UConn when it comes to when they make it to the Final Four, to be honest. Like, so I don't have a lot of AZ Fudd game tape to go off of, but I do know that I've watched Olivia Miles, and Olivia Miles, if she gets the minutes, she can very much so be a Rookie of the Year candidate. I think that this Rookie of the Year race is going to be close. What happens if you have tickets in ATL and they switch arenas? I'm sure they will accommodate you. I know that when they had an issue with my tickets in ATL, they'll reach out to people in advance. So make sure if that does happen to you to be monitoring your email because they will email you. I see a few all-star rookies. I feel each class is getting better and better. Yeah, absolutely. Each class is getting better. Man, women's basketball is just the thing to watch right now. We doing it. Women's basketball 365. That's what I'm about. All year we got great women's basketball to watch. All-star players coming into the league every year. All-star players getting put on the radar every single year. Now, Hoops Tribe, I just got an hour before I have to go into a meeting that is going to benefit us. This meeting that I'm going to is going to benefit the Hoops Tribe. I'm working on something very special. I'm not going to reveal any details right now, but just know that I am working really hard to grow this community and to build us a platform that we've never seen before, okay? So I appreciate everybody that likes, subscribes, comments, shares my content to people because you're helping so much and you're putting me in the rooms that I need to be in order to continue to grow this game because that's what I'm all about. Some of you know, some of you may not know, I played basketball my entire life. I was a D1 recruited athlete. I tore my ACL going into my senior year. I'm a little old, okay? I'm 34. At the time that I tore my ACL, I was 16. And back then, 2008, people felt like that was it for you. At least that's what it was in my community. I was done. You know, not knowing that I still had so much more to give the game. That's what I felt. I didn't have the adults around me to pour it into me, that belief that I could come back. So I didn't pursue basketball after my ACL injury, and I just kept on my mass communications tip. I kept on my journalism tip, and I started doing music. You know, I just went to college. I just was a person. You know, I was a rock star out here. Like, I was just living my life. And back in 2023, I coached for a little bit at one point, but my heart wasn't in it because I still had some animosity towards the game, okay? So 2023 comes around, and I get invited to a high school game, one of my friends' kids playing high school ball. And like I was so into it. Like I'm like yelling. I'm one of those people in the stands, like talking like, you know, I'm trying to coach from the stands. I'm one of them people. So I realized then, like, I still got so much more basketball in me. So from there, I got invited back to coach. I became an assistant coach. Then I became a head coach for middle school. I was an assistant coach with high school, and I became a head coach with my middle school girls. Being a head coach was one of the best experiences that I've ever had. Led that team to a championship run. We lost in the championship, but we did better than the school had ever done before. Those are my babies, and we went on an incredible journey. And I learned so much from being a coach. And while I was doing that, I was watching basketball because anything that I do, I want to be 100% in it. So I'm watching basketball. I'm watching the best of the best play so I can apply some of these things to what I'm doing. And that's what got me to talk about hoops online with you all, is because I was just watching so much basketball. And I'm like, I got to talk about this with somebody. So I started talking to y'all. And it just grew from there. Now we're over 57,000 followers on Facebook. We're, over 30,000 followers on Instagram, almost 30,000 followers on TikTok, 3,000 followers, more than 3,000 followers on YouTube. We have just grown this thing bigger than what I could imagine. I never foresaw this. So thank you all for pouring into me. I'm getting a little emotional. I'm getting emotional right now. Thank y'all for pouring into me what I felt like was not poured into me before. So this is a little bit of healing for my younger self. So with that, I say I love y'all. I can't wait to share the news with y'all when it comes about, because we're working on something bigger than ever. So as always, folks, thank you for tuning in. What are your thoughts, Hoops Tribe? Let's talk hoops.